I know this is sudden, but here's some trivia for you, as you seem to have finished your glass. The name rum and cola is actually a nickname. Do you know the real name of this drink? It's called the Cuba Libre. The rum called for in this drink represents Cuba. This is a cocktail which mixed the national specialties of Cuba and the United States as a celebration of Cuba's independence. Cuba Libre means free Cuba. It tastes differently when you know the history. Unlike white wine, red wine isn't categorized as sweet or dry. To express the richness of a red wine, it is described by likening it to the shape of a woman's body. Light, medium, and full. I wonder what a full body looks like. This is sudden, but here's some trivia about beer, now that you've emptied your mug. Cold beer can be amazing, but do you know the best temperature to enjoy a good brew? When beer gets too cold, the proteins solidify and cloud the beer, and it doesn't form a good head. It does vary by season, brand, and personal taste, but most beers are not recommended to be served at lower than 45 degrees Fahrenheit. That's already very cold. Be wary of bars that freeze their beer. This is sudden, but here's some trivia about Japanese sake, now that you've emptied your sake cup. Refined sake is made by filtering nigori sake, but did you know that another strange ingredient is added at this time? Ash is added. It's said that a sake maker in the Edo period put ash into the sake to take out his anger. This is the unexpected success story behind this delicacy. This is sudden, but here's some trivia about whiskey, now that you've emptied your glass. Do you know what malt means? It can often be seen on alcohol labels. Malt refers to malted barley, a key ingredient. Yet, if it is labeled as malt whiskey, it must also be Scotch. Single malt means that the malts used come from the same distillery. Malt whiskey can vary wildly in taste, depending on how it's made. So there are many different brands. And that was the trivia for tonight. lot of cocktails with the name fizz in them. But do you know where this came from? Fizz-type cocktails are a distilled drink plus lemon plus sugar and soda water. Fizz refers to the sound the soda makes. They're all sweet, so even lightweights can wash them down like juice. I know this is sudden, but here is some trivia about wine, now that you've emptied your glass. Do you know why red wine and white wine differ in color? Red wine is produced by fermenting everything, including the skin and seed, while white wine only requires the juice to be fermented. As a result, red wine tastes bitter, and white wine tastes fruity. Either you enjoy the bitterness, or you pursue the sweetness. And that was the trivia for tonight. It's said that glass shape and pour style has much to do with how much foam you get. But there is another factor. It's the cleanliness of the glass. Even a tiny bit of oil or dust will affect the beer's surface tension, making it less foamy. This means that it's not a good thing to wipe a wet beer glass with a dry cloth. Rinse the glass with hot water and turn it over to let it air dry. Please try this out. Do you know what the difference between shochu and seishu is? Since the Chinese character for burn is in the word shochu, many people think shochu is made by heating it up. Actually, shochu is merely distilled sake. So people who like shochu might have a high tolerance for alcohol. I know this is sudden, but here's some trivia about whiskey, now that you've emptied your glass. Do you know what the difference between whiskey and brandy is? Alcohol content? Price? No, there is a more fundamental difference. Whiskey is made from grains, and brandy is made from fruit. It tastes differently when you think about it that way. And that was the trivia for tonight. Did you know the United States outlawed alcohol between 1920 and 1933? It is said that this very prohibition paved a way for the cocktail culture to bloom. Alcohol made in secret tended to taste terrible, so people began mixing it with anything and everything to make it more enjoyable. These are the roots of the modern cocktail. The more you stamp on a weed, the more it thrives. My, that's deep. Did you know that it's best to store wine bottles on their sides for long-term preservation? Maintaining a tight seal between the cork and wine supposedly prevents oxygen from entering the bottle. Proper storage is important for the long-term preservation of an aging wine. They often say that a well-slept child is a well-kept child. And that was the trivia for tonight. Do you know what draft beer is? Fresh beer still has yeast bacteria inside, which cannot be preserved. However, the beer's taste is changed by pasteurization. Draft beer is unpasteurized. However, it is possible to filter draft beer to remove the bacteria, so the beer lasts longer.
It may have been fake, but in my heart, I was still cheating on you. I'm sorry. I know you can't forgive me for what I've done.
No, I can't.
I finally woke up. I was worried about how my life was going. I thought everything was being decided for me. I was being tossed about by the world. I had so much stress. But after you dumped me, I figured it out. My life has no meaning without you.
Do you know who the first Westerner to drink Japanese sake was? According to records, it was Spanish missionary Francis Xavier, who came to Japan in 1549. In his letters written back home, he was amazed to learn that the alcohol was made from rice, not fruit. It must have been a rice surprise. Have you ever heard of the term angel's share? During the aging process, some whiskey will be lost to evaporation. This is called the angel's share. I hear that if they seal it so it doesn't evaporate, the whiskey doesn't have that nice aroma. What a fancy way of saying it. It's said that chugging alcohol isn't good for you, but sometimes it's necessary. The cocktail Nikolashka is an example of this. It uses cognac, lemon, coffee, and sugar. But first, you put the lemon, coffee, and sugar in your mouth. Then you take a big swig of cognac. Of course, you can't even talk until you drink it all. It's necessary to chug it. But cognac contains 40% alcohol, so those with low tolerances should not attempt this. Beer is loved all over the world, but where did it come from? The earliest records of beer making are from 5,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia. It's said the barley used to make bread fermented naturally, and beer was created by coincidence. The earliest known alcohol is said to be from 9,000 years ago in China, a mix of rice and fruit alcohols. I guess you could say humanity's had a long time to enjoy their drinks. In Japan, a common phrase to describe a drunk person is drunk as dirt. Do you know where this phrase comes from? The dirt in this case isn't actual dirt. A bug that appears in old Chinese tales is called a dai and uses the same character as dirt in Japanese. Dai live in water, and when they walk on land, they stagger about like a drunkard. Can you spell whiskey correctly? Actually, whiskey and whiskey are both correct spellings. In England, I hear that they spell it differently depending on what kind of whiskey it is. Bourbon has a key, and Scotch has none. That's how some learn it. These are nice things to know if you want to be very knowledgeable in whiskey. One style of cocktail that requires the most experience and technique to create is the pousse café. Normally, cocktails are stirred thoroughly, but this is a cocktail you cannot mix. The bartender creates a beautiful rainbow inside the glass by carefully layering differently colored liqueurs according to their densities. But what's the best way to drink this? Mixing it will ruin the effect, and if you don't mix it, it stays separated. Perhaps the agony of indecision is part of the pousse café's appeal.